Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to this lesson again in history. I'll introduce myself in case you've not seen me before. My name's Brian Dickinson. I'm a history teacher down in West Sussex. Today's lesson is going to be on exam practice and notably, specifically about paper 3. If you're doing the Edexcel paper, paper 3 is the one on the depth study that you're doing. The one I'm going to look at today is on Nazi Germany because that's one of the most popular ones and most common ones that people do. And it's be interesting, you know, and actually a lot of the things that we do on it are the same as all the others anyway. So, it kind of doesn't matter really if you are doing a different paper. That's fine, a different depth study, but it's a similar sort of thing that you're going to be asked. And I'll show you some real examples. It's quite a lot involved, so we may not get all of it done in 20 minutes, unfortunately, but I'll give you a quick run through of this at the beginning, at least of some of it anyway. Okay, I'm just going to share my, oops, beg your pardon, didn't want to do that. Beg your pardon, I'm just going to share my screen and then right, and then okay, hopefully you're seeing that then. So okay, my email address is at the bottom there. Please, if any feedback, any questions, please email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Send you this PowerPoint maybe, something like that. Anyway, wait, it's Weimar Nazi Germany. Okay, so paper 3 is a modern depth study. It's divided into 2 sections, okay? B focuses on sources and interpretations. The reason why I'm going through paper 3 is the most difficult one. It's the one that most students find most difficult, okay? It lasts an hour and 20 minutes, 52 marks in total. You're expected to spend 25 minutes in section A, which is a more easy one. I'll go through section A quickly in a minute, and then section B, which is 55 minutes. We may not get all section B done. And if you want another lesson in this, please email me or get in touch with Satchel and we can do another one. You've got to give two, question 1 is give 2 things you can infer from a particular source, okay, from source A. And I'll look at an example of that in a minute. And you're looking at analysing and evaluating sources. That's what they're looking at. Not looking at whether or not you can read the source or picking out things from the source. It's what you can interpret from the source, what you can infer, okay? But what can I infer? Details tell me this. And I'll go through what that means in a minute. That's just kind of, it means more to you in a minute when I show you the example. Right, you've got to explain, question 2 is explain why, okay? 12 marks. And so you get 2 stimulus points, which you must include in your, and include information of your own. And that'll make sense in a minute when I give you the example. The question says explain why, not what. So why does something happen? Or why did something happen? It's not giving, you're not explaining the details of a particular event, like tell me about an event, it's explaining why did this happen. And it'll become clear when I show you the example in a minute. And answer this question like Elizabeth and Brian. Okay, if you're doing those sort of ones. Okay. So, hopefully you're seeing my paper there. I'm still sharing the screen. Sharing is pause. Oh, okay. No. Right. Beg your pardon. I've just got to stop sharing. So I think I've got to share something else in. Sorry, you come back to me now. So I've got to share a different part. That's the one there. That's it. Right. So now, yes, you're now seeing this is a history paper. Okay. And I'm just going to show this is exactly what they look like. This is an example one. Okay. Please use black ink when you do exams because they sometimes have to be scanned. These days, exam papers are sent off to the exam board and they're scanned in, and examiners see them on a screen like this, and black tends to scan better. Okay, examiners do not see the names of students when they mark them. They don't know who they are. They only see what you've written. Okay, Okay, so section A, look, this is what it looks like. It says below is a source, and then answer the question. Source A, From Hitler and I, by Otto Strasser, published in 1940. Strasser was a leading member of the Nazi Party in his early years. Here he remembers a conversation with Hitler in 1925. So there's quite a bit of information even in the beginning. This is someone who actually knew him, someone who worked alongside him. He was a Nazi, but it tells you in the early years. Okay, and this is what I remember in 1925. Now, hopefully, in your head, you're thinking, right, 1925, Hitler wasn't particularly popular. He'd just come out of prison, and this is what he said. Well, I remember one of my first conversations with him. It was nearly a quarrel. Now, in case you don't know, it's an argument. Power, screamed Hitler. We must have power. Before we gain it, I replied firmly, let us decide what we propose to do with it. Our program is too vague. We must construct something which will last. Hitler, who even then, could hardly bear contradiction for someone arguing with him, thumped the table, saying sharply, power first, afterwards we can act as events occur. So that's the source, okay? The first bit, where it tells you who's written by and when, a lot of people ignore that, but please don't. Oh my God. I promise you that if you can hear that in the background, I don't live in New York. I don't know where all these sirens are coming from. Right, and this is what the questions look like. Give 2 things that you can infer from source A about Hitler's leadership of the Nazi Party. Okay, so it says, what I can infer. So hopefully you're thinking, well, so what does it tell you about Hitler? What does it tell you about him as a person? Okay, so you might write in there, for example, I can infer that he was power hungry. He was crazy to get into power. The details in the source that tell me this. So you literally quote from the source that tells you how you know that. Okay, and if you go back to it, you go, right, what bit tells me that he was power hungry? Right, he says, power, screamed Hitler. We must have power. There you go. That tells you that, doesn't it? Anyone who shouts that in an argument, we must have power. Okay, what else can you infer from a source? Did he have a plan? Was he really planned? Was he? Did he have a plan of how to get into power or what to do when he gets there? Did he, or was it just about power? That's all he wanted? You could say, and how do I know that? Well, look at what he says. Before we go, he says, no, power first. Afterwards, we can act as events occur. And that's 2 things. Is there anything else that you can get from that? Did he like being challenged? No, he didn't, did he? Hitler did not enjoy being challenged about what he wanted. How do I know that? Well, how do we know that? It says here, Hitler, who even then could hardly bear contradiction. So therefore, he did not like people disagreeing with him. So therefore, you've got 3 things, and you only need 2. So literally, when it says the details in the source that tell me this, please, please, please quote from the source. Okay, you're not going to lose points if you quote. A lot of students, for some unknown reason, and I don't know why that is, they don't always quote. Okay, now the question 2 on section A is explain why there was opposition to Germany in the Treaty of Versailles. Not can you explain the opposition, why was there opposition? So you may include military terms and territorial terms, and you must use information of your own. Now, we could do a whole lesson almost, just going through this one question, or type question, because you actually get 12 marks, okay? You actually get 12 marks. So you could go, so let's think about the Treaty of Versailles. Why was there opposition? The military terms. Why was there opposition to the military terms? What were the military terms? It's not asking you, can you please tell me the military terms of the Treaty of Versailles? But you've got to explain the fact that they had reduced their armed forces down to 100,000 men, had to be volunteers, couldn't have an army, couldn't have conscription. They lost most of their air force, navy was really depleted. No, and all the, so you could talk about all those details. So why was there opposition to that? Well, if you were in the armed forces, what did that result in? You lost your job, didn't you? You know, that's why there's opposition. A lot of people literally lost their job as a result of that. And also, how do you think it made people feel that they lost a lot of their military capabilities? It made them feel very vulnerable. Okay, so that's why, not please tell me the military terms. The territorial terms, what were the territorial terms? They lost lots of land, didn't they? The Rhine was demilitarized. They lost lots of their overseas empire. Now, why was there opposition to that? What's wrong with giving up your empire? They're going to become financially weaker. Okay, one of the reasons why people have empires or companies have empires or countries have empires is because they will want to gain power, and they gain prestige, and they also do it for financial gain. So they lose all of those things. So if you lose your territory, you lose prestige, you lose power, you lose financial influence as well. So you can't have, you know, they only had empires especially in Africa, because they want to get cheap materials. So you're going to lose that. And also, why any other reason why they would not want to give up some of their land? German-speaking people were on those lands. So some people lost their nationality. Some people who were German in some parts of Germany and outside Germany were occupied. They weren't part of Germany anymore. So Germany physically got smaller. Okay, physically got smaller. So you've got to think about, you know, so hopefully when you're in your lessons, you've gone through the Treaty of Versailles, your teachers have gone through to you, not only was there opposition, but why was there opposition? So a lot of people don't read this question properly, and they forget the why. What they look at it, they go, oh, right, okay, military terms, territorial terms, Versailles Treaty, that's all they read, and they, oh, right, and they tell the story of all the conditions of the Treaty of Versailles, and they're not answering the question. You must, and it's bold there, you must also use information of your own. Okay, so in other words, what you've got to also do is talk about another term of the Treaty of Versailles, another thing where there was opposition to it, what people did not like. And I would suggest on this particular one, you might go for the war guilt clause, because they got blamed for the war, which they didn't agree with. They hated it. Think about all the things that Hitler used in his build up to power to say to people, this is why we need to overthrow, this is why we need to overthrow a government, this is why we need to get into power, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and that he led the opposition. He tapped into this opposition. Okay, he wasn't the first person and the only person who criticised the Treaty of Versailles, but he tapped into it quite well. So, so we could go through, and I haven't got time today to go through how it might look, but if you want to write some of these, if you want these are freely available on the website, on the edXL website. If you can't get hold of them, and you want to have a go at these, you want to send them to me, I will mark them. I'm an examiner, okay? So I will mark them. I will say, you know, this is how they should be marked, and I'll give you some feedback on it. Just want to go down now and share, go back to the PowerPoint, because there's a little bit more to do on that. Okay, so section B, okay. So how useful, now this is about usefulness of sources, A and B for an inquiry. So it's looking at two different sources, and it said, how useful are they? Okay, not what do they tell me. So it's a different type of a skill, really. And you need to talk about provenance. What does provenance mean? Where does it come from? Right? So in other words, you need to talk about the nature, the origin and purpose of the content. Okay, what is it? where's it come from? Why was it made? And what does it say? Okay, this is what you need to talk about. And I'll go through an example of that in a minute. Question 3B, we may only get on to question 3A today. Study interpretations A and B. So first of all, you get sources, and then you get interpretations. Okay, interpretations are different. Interpretations of what someone else thinks about something. What are the main differences between the views? Okay, so in other words, it's saying, here's two interpretations, here's two views of an event, something, and you've got to say, what are the differences? How are they different? And I'll go into an example, hopefully we'll get there in a minute. So this is looking at AO4, which is use detail and quotes from both interpretations. Okay. Right, and question 3C, suggest why the interpretations give different views. Why are they different? You've got to say, right, what are the differences between them? And then why are they different? Now, I use examples in lessons when I teach this about football teams. If you're football supporters, why? What are people's views differently about a particular match? Okay, or a particular team. Well, it's probably better to say an event, a match. Why are people different? Okay, or first of all, the first one will be, what are the differences in how they view a match? How two different people view a match? And it could be, you know, so one person says that one team played particularly well, another person says that the team played really badly, or because they were, you might say, why did one team win? And one person say, oh, because the one team played particularly badly. The other persons might say, because that team, the referee was biased, or the pitch was slippery, or something like that. And then you've got to say, why are they different? Why are they different? Why are they looking at the same event and come out with different views? Why? Why is that happening? And it could down to be the fact that they support different teams. Okay, but in history, it's not quite so simple as that. When you're looking at events like this in history and in GCSE, it's not a case of one person supports it, one person doesn't support it. Not quite. It's a bit more nuanced than that, and I'll come on to it. Hopefully, we get there. So one reason, use your answer from 3B and explain why they differ. So only give one reason. The example allows you to use the sources to help you. And here I stress this an awful lot. Please, please, please use the sources. So many people do not quote, and I don't know why that is. Right, how far do you agree with interpretation? So, and this is another one where we won't have time to do it today, but we can go on to it later on if you really want. Get in touch with Satchel, show my homework or whatever you want to call it, or me, and say, look, we would like to go into looking at a 16 marker. Here you must explore different views on the debate. Okay, use both interpretations, develop and give reasons. This one is 16 marks and 4 for SPAG. It's quite detailed, and it really, 20 minutes, we haven't got time to do that, but we will have a quick look. I'll call this a walk and talking mock. In lessons, what I tend to do, I get the students, and if you're in a lesson, I'll get you to write it or tell me. We could have feedback if we're allowed to have dialogues. I'll get you to tell me what to write, and I quite often type it up on a board. People see it. Right. Study interpretations 1 and 2. They give different views about the Munich Putsch. Hopefully you remember the Munich Putsch is when Hitler tried to take over Munich, and it was it didn't work. What are the main differences between these views? Explain your answer using details from both interpretations. Otherwise, quote. So, interpretation 1. This is from a history book in 2007. The Nazis were completely embarrassed. Hitler's false sense of power led him to believe he was more powerful than he actually was. The crowd of 3,000 Nazis was overthrown by just 100 policemen, resulting in 16 Nazi deaths and 3 police deaths. The whole attempt was poorly organised and subsequently was a shambles. Hitler overestimated the power of the Nazis and was quite shocked when they were defeated so easily. When the putsch was over, Hitler and some of his men were imprisoned, which led to the collapse of the party, who broke down and completely lost their direction without Hitler's strong leadership. And this one, I don't know if my face goes over the top of it, from a history article written in 2009. When Hitler was put on trial, it gave him a platform to speak to the whole of Germany. He, of course, amazed the judges and the rest of Germany with his passionate defense. in which he criticised the Weimar government and argued he was trying to save Germany. Due to close media coverage, people got to hear his views, and many supported and agreed with him. The trial turned into a publicity dream for the Nazi Party. So the main difference in interpretation, what's the differences? What is it? What are they saying differently? The main difference between interpretations is that interpretation suggests that the Munich Putsch was a failure. It was, okay? It's telling you it was a failure. I know this because in interpretation it says the putsch was poorly organised and consequently a shambles that led to 16 deaths and Hitler's arrest and imprisonment. Okay, you can go into a little bit more detail than that if you wanted to say he overestimated the power and all the rest of it, but you're quoting from it. However, interpretation 2 suggests that Munich Putsch was a success. I know this because in interpretation it says that Hitler's trial gave him a chance to share his views with the whole of Germany. He did. There's it's on YouTube actually. It's a really good video called Hitler, the Rise of Evil with Robert Carlyle playing Hitler. It's in 2 parts. It's an hour and a half each part. So 3 hours long. It's all on YouTube and you can watch the whole series and it shows you this bit when Hitler goes to trial and he's allowed, he makes public speeches. He's allowed to defend himself and makes public speeches. And people are cheering and the judges love him. As a result, the trial turned into a publicity dream for the Nazis and won them more support. Oops. So, look, it's just gone 20 minutes. It's a real shame, actually, that we don't really have enough time. So that gives you an idea of what we would do. Okay, so look, if you want more lessons, I can see there's a couple of people there. If you want more lessons on this, please, please, please get in touch. Okay, either with my email, which is on the top of beginning of this, or get in touch with Satchel, and please have a look. Erin Farah Cairns. I'm not sure how anybody can, whether or not you're allowed to get in touch or email me or email Satchel or wherever, but please let me know, give me some feedback. Unfortunately, we've only allowed 20 minutes, so please let me know how this has gone and we can do some more on this type of lesson, more on the exam papers, and I've also got some quite good lessons planned if you want on exam techniques as well, and revision techniques is really important, doing revision. We don't know what the situation is going to be with exams for next year. I suspect there'll be more emphasis on your mocks. If you do mocks in your school for next year, because they're using mocks this year. I know historically people don't take mocks particularly seriously, but maybe they should do from now on. So revision and how to revise, not just for history, but other subjects and for history are going to be really important. So please get in touch, give me some feedback, and I hope you've enjoyed the lesson. 20 minutes, unfortunately, 24 minutes now, 23 minutes we're up to. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope it's not too hot where you are. I'll see you soon. Bye.